Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and we're joined here tonight in the studio by Dr. Ahmed Nassef, the International Economic and Strategic Management expert. Dr. Nassef, good evening, and thank you very much for joining us.
Good evening to you. Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure, sir. Dr. Nassef, we will be talking about Ras Al Hikmah North Coast development deal, but before we get to that, let's have some background information regarding the economic situation that we are in now. All the citizens, everyone in Egypt is feeling the brunt, really, of the inflation situation, the dire need for foreign currency for the Egyptian market, the value of the Egyptian pound. And a lot of people saw such a multi-billion-dollar deal as one of the quick fixes for the current situation. But how did we get there? Why are we in such a situation that happened? I mean, everybody understands that the whole globe is going through an economic crisis, but over the past only few months, Egypt really suffered carrying really the burden of a very bad economic situation.
Thank you for the question. It's a very interesting question to address, and I think it's very important to understand why we are where we are today. Mm-hmm. Actually, it goes back to January 1977. At the time, Egypt was going through decades of socialist economic systems, and we were aspiring to what was called at the time the open door policies, and some of it was good. Mm-hmm. The IMF stepped in and he gave some directions, if you want, to the Egyptian government at how we should manage the economy, and that was like a new beast altogether, because we've never, probably since the 50s or the late 40s, the Second World War more or less, we never really managed an open market economy. Mm-hmm. I don't want to use the word capitalist, because even today we're not in a capitalist economy. So what happened at the time is that there was some minor steps that were taken. They were faced with a major reaction, socially speaking. Mm-hmm. It was the time of President Sadat, and that was too alarming. I mean, that's a totally personal opinion, was not managed properly, and they revoked the decisions. And from 1977 to almost 2016, to be very, very fair, we were financing and we were supporting the subsidizing, if we could say, the cost of the currency, the foreign currency. That was not the real cost of the currency. At the time, if you want to talk a little bit about the history, the late President Mubarak was the vice president of President Sadat, and he saw the turbulence that the system or the government went through. And for all this period, about 10 years of President Sadat's time, and then almost over 30 years, almost 40 years, Egypt was subsidizing the price of the foreign currency, which means that instead of subsidizing, as that exists all over the world at different rates and different systems, but in every single country in the world, you have a system by which you subsidize the poorest segments of the population. So we, instead of doing that, we started to subsidize the price of the currency, which meant actually, just to bring it to the non-specialized in the field, is anything, no matter how luxurious or how trivial you are importing, is it Swiss chocolate or French cheese, you are actually subsidizing this, because you are subsidizing the price of the currency that you bought these items with. Accordingly, actually, the economy was depleted. Mm-hmm. And as we if that decision of 1977, you know, we moved the price of the currency a few piastres every year. In 40 years, we would probably end up more or less where the prices were of the currency, but it would have been such a smooth transition that nobody would have felt any change, you know. Unfortunately, that did not happen. We used and we benefited for all this period from a lot of support from our brothers in Saudi Arabia, in the UAE, and other friends in different countries, and mostly in the Gulf. But all of this was going to subsidy into weed, subsidy into, you know, things that were consumable. People consumed it, and the subsidy evaporated.
Yes.
So nobody thought strategically. Now with the administration of President Sisi, for the first time, I think, in a very long time, we're thinking strategically about this. We're trying to invest something to bring money in. You know, it's almost a cliche, but we're trying to teach people how to fish rather than give them the fish, you know, more or less. This is the long answer for your short question.
Well, queuing in now the Ras Al Hikmah North Coast project. Now Egypt quite recently signed the multi-billion-dollar deal with the UAE that should, all in all, amount to $150 billion in investments in this area, which is 170 kilometers west of Alexandria to Matruh, 220 kilometers. Now, it's such a big project that would immediately have about $20 billion within 2 months direct foreign currency investment into the Egyptian Central Bank. Now, we will be talking about the advantages and the benefits of such a project, but why did it receive such skepticism from the Egyptian citizens before even knowing the details of such a deal?
Okay. If you allow me just a small correction, because there is the cash injection, but many people forget that there is what we call debt to the equity swap. We owed the UAE government about 11 billion, and overnight these are going to leave. The money is in Egypt, but this is going to be swapped from being a debt on the Egyptian government towards the UAE government, and that is going to go directly into the Egyptian assets. So the net effect of it is actually much higher than the cash injection that we're going to receive. That's about 11 billion US dollar, and that's a lot of money.
With its interest rates?
Absolutely. So basically, you're not going to be paying any interest on that. Well, to start with, and Egypt is being fought and is being, you know, many people do not want to see in a stable Egypt. We cannot forget what the Muslim Brotherhood and all the saga that we went through. So obviously they're just fueling this fire against the current government. The other side, there is a little bit of very classical thinking about the idea, you're selling your land and what have you, and are you giving it away, etc., etc., etc. Fine. First of all, we are not just selling the land, because that's too easy. That's not actually what's happening. And again, there are two parts of this project that are not, you know, very little light is being shed on them, and I think they're of prime importance. First of all, the idea that Egypt is not just selling out. We own 35% of the revenues of this project for the rest of its lifetime. This is huge. This is almost a duck that will be laying golden eggs every single year from now until God knows when.
Is it a good percentage? Should we have aimed for more than 35%?
I think it depends. You see, any percentage you get from any deal depends a lot on how much are you contributing. And to be honest with you, the Egyptian government or or Egypt in general, is putting very little. All what we're offering is, here a piece of land, go and make it, turn it from a piece of desert that has been sitting there, by the way, for the past 7,000 years, and nobody has done anything with it. Please make it to one of the most attractive beaches, and it's not just the beaches, actually, it's a bit more than that. But the new urban developments in the world, on the planet, and we're gonna be here, and if you need anything, let us know, please. You're taking 35% on that, and all the work, actually, strategically and operationally, you're putting it on the shoulders of the foreign partner. I think it's a very smart deal, to be honest with you.
And it will create job opportunities as well.
That's
at the same time.
That's the other point, again, which is not taken enough light, is the indirect effect of that. It is, yes, job creation, because it's definitely going to be much cheaper to bring Egyptian workers or Egyptian engineers. Basically, you're going to need just about all sorts of things, including marketeer, every salespeople, everything you can think of, as well as the what you call the indirect supply. So basically, you have a circle, you have the project itself, but you have a much wider circle around the project that you supply it with so many things that are being produced here. So you're going to actually get a lot of factories that are working on. It's not a secret, but one of the companies I'm board member of is into, I'm not going to mention its name, but it's into locks and hardware and security system. And do you imagine how much business that will be for us? Huge, huge. And this is one from maybe, I don't know, 100, 200 industries that will benefit from having a project like so. So the indirect effect on the Egyptian economy is going to be huge and mega. People are not really actually feeling or getting the right dimension. They're just talking, okay, how much money versus land and this. But the ripple effect of it is enormous, and is really going to make a huge change for it's going to revitalize the Egyptian economy. The other thing, and the UAE or the Emiratis are very shrewd business people. This is not a secret. They're running about 150 or 180, I don't remember the exact number, ports all over the world, from Turkey to China to US and all over the world. And when they put so much money in your country, in your economy, that's a certification of so many things. They're witnessing and attesting that you are a stable country, that you are open for business, you are here and you are promoting investment. This is very important. This is the best attestation of that.
Well, Dr. Nassef, now, you've mentioned that this land has been there for thousands of years, really. Now, having this real estate exporting sort of mentality, Egypt is rich in vast areas of land that need to be inhabited and that need development, be it on the north coast or the western desert or the Sinai Peninsula. Why did this project take place now? Why did we start acting now? Or was it a long build-up up until reaching and signing this deal now? Did we work on it for months or years? And what would be next?
If you allow me to build on your premise, we are not just having plenty of land to utilize. Actually, if you look at the numbers, they're shocking. We're living on 6% of the surface of our country. 6%.
Yes.
That means 94% is totally available to do anything with it. Okay, so we have a huge waste in that sense. You see countries like Holland, for example, which they're spending billions to reclaim a little bit to enlarge, because they need, and they go reclaim from the sea or the ocean. It's the North Sea mostly, so it's the sea to to gain a bit of land, and we have 94% of our land totally underutilized. This is a major asset that we are not utilizing. Why it happened? I think this goes back to the old rule of management. Out of each crisis, there is an opportunity. And I think what forced us to really work in that direction is we really needed to think big. And we had almost a crisis that we all know because of Corona, because of the Russian-Ukrainian war, which doubled or tripled the price of the strategic goods, wheat and sunflower oil and fertilizers and what have you. And that did hurt us quite a bit.
Yes.
So I think this is the opportunity that came out of this crisis, and I think the government jumped on the opportunity. They had a lot of courage. They took very bold decisions, but this is the only way to evolve and develop. If you stay within your comfort zone, you don't go far. You know, they broke some norms with that deal, and I hope it's not the only deal. We have plenty of such deals that we could use and realize. And I heard, I have no direct information, so I heard probably from some media and what have you, that there is going to be one or two other similar deals around the corner, and that will be brilliant. Again, same, maybe it's not as big, but even if it is a third of that, that's still huge. Again, it will have an indirect ripple effect on the Egyptian industry, almost on every sector in the economy, and it's going to generate, and this is the thing I love about this deal, it's generation of tourism. If we look at the numbers of tourism or tourists that come to Egypt, it's really modest. I mean, if you compare ourselves to Thailand. Thailand has about 60 million tourists a year. 60 million. We're at the 10, 12 million, give or take. So we're talking about 1/5. You have coast, North Mediterranean coast. You have Red Sea. You have a third of all the monuments and the historical sites of the planet are on your land, and you are 1/12. 1/6 of a country like Thailand. Something is not clicking, and I think what is not clicking here is the infrastructure. We don't have the development, we don't have the attractions to generate that tourism. The old-fashioned tourism that we used to do is like, you know, you show a camel and the pyramids in the background. This is, you know, when people have on their bucket list, you know, I want to, you know, I saw the pyramid, I came to Cairo for a couple of days, and there is not what we call, using the term of business, repeat purchase. People do not go and come back. And people do come back, and you have repeat purchase in tourism when you're offering a leisure and basically a pleasurable experience. So people come once and twice and thrice. People are not interested to see the pyramids, which is brilliant, but they don't want to see it 3 times. But yes, I want to go and sunbathe and party and have good food and relaxing thing in a very nice atmosphere. Almost every year, if I could. Okay, nobody wants to see the pyramid every year. Maybe once in a lifetime, maybe twice, but that's about it. So the idea, what sort of tourism are you generating? And I think this is huge. The other thing is also the tourism markets that we are targeting. People, for example, all of Arabian Peninsula are very known to have extreme weather in summer. Again, they could always come to see the pyramids or the monuments or the temples or what have you. But you know, they want to spend 3 months somewhere else away from home because it is almost unbearable in terms of temperature back home. Offer that. So instead of the tourist to come and spend, I don't know, 4 or 5 days to see a few temples and the pyramids and the sound and light and some museums, he comes in and spends 2 months. If you now are going to look at the spend per head and that sort of thing, you're taking your tourism industry to a totally new level. And this is the beauty of such a project. And this is why, again, it is not about giving the fish, because this is what happened for 40 years. Our brothers there were helping us. But then what? We took it, we subsidized the cost of weed and the cost of electricity and petrol and so many different things, and finished.
Yes.
And another day, you need another fish. But now we are building a machine that will continue to reproduce. Again, and that's again a very personal opinion, I think it is very good that we have the North Coast. We've built some what we have today in the North. That's okay. But I think it is, in my personal opinion, a huge waste, because people really use these houses for a mediocre period of time. Talk to anybody who has a house on the North Coast, and they all will tell you the toughest part of the year is the first 2 weeks when I go back after my house has been closed for 8 months or something, and I find a problem here, a problem there, a window broken, and I need to spend a couple of weeks at least to fix it so it becomes livable again. If you have hotels like Tunisia, for example, is very, very smart in the way they're doing it. They have coastal cities, and they're very reasonably priced, good value for money, and people go, you enjoy yourself in the hotel, and then you close the door, you pay your bill, and you go home. You, worry-free, you know, you don't have to worry about anything. And I think that's a huge opportunity for Egypt to do something similar, as well as we're going to become, you know, we're multiplying by almost a rate of 2.2 or 2.5 million a year. Which means that every 2 years we create a country like Finland. It's almost scary, but this is reality. So we need places for people to live in, and the North Coast is a huge area where we could do that.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is one way to actually deal with an economic crisis that the whole world and Egypt included is going through. Also, Egypt is really focusing and trying to boost the involvement of the private sector to help reinvigorate the Egyptian economy. Let's check out this report and we'll be right back.